Let's apply the insights of paradoxical wisdom in psychotherapy to a generic and all too common clinical example. I've chosen the husband to be the psychopath in this example, though it could go either way. So here goes the clinical generic case. A neurotic wife gradually realizes that the husband she once idealized is actually a well disguised, immature, cheating, malevolent, and perverted con man, not just with her and the kids, but with everyone, and not just sometimes, all the time. This is how the 4% psychopaths out there roll. Literally everything they say or do is a self-aggrandizing, instantaneously calculated, professional grade and meticulously choreographed lie or performance within their charming, attractive, well-packaged, and well-spoken charisma, that is. I know this sounds like a wild exaggeration. The moment we give pathological liars any degree of credibility at all, which we all do, we've stepped right into their trap. They've trained themselves over many years to stay with their roles, really sell their scams, and take advantage of our self-inflating and misguided little egos. When caught in a lie, they double down and act very earnestly as if they actually believe their own preposterous bullshit. We secretly admire their authoritative pretense. We're so easily fooled by these liars because we desperately want to be fooled. We want to believe in a dressed-up Camelot or utopia. Each time we enlist these liars' assistance with this charade, they've got us. Generation after generation, we eagerly fall for their seductive scams, place them in office, and die in their wars. Each of these spouses is the perfect and well-practiced siren for the other's unwanted, discarded, and therefore unconscious other half. They were made for each other. Her husband embodies the archetype of the cosmic trickster itself. He plays the part of her disowned and cruel inner attacker. She plays the part of his disowned and frightened inner child or archetypal victim. Each reinforces thereby their fatal flaw, their winner or loser, sadist or victim fallacy. Each partner steps in perfect harmony to a dance of their own unconscious making, to the music and rousing cheers of a chorus they cannot hear within this mutual, reciprocal, and unconsciously gratifying repetition compulsion. In so doing, they consciously confound and defeat themselves and others. They fail to see their own creative hands in this misadventure. Each time she confronts even the smallest of his daily lies, she rediscovers that it's perfectly useless to argue with such a supreme bulldozer. He understands only his unrelenting power and others' unconditional surrender. His response to any criticism goes way beyond a reasonable defense. He launches an overwhelming cluster bomb of insults and accusations, calling her the liar, her the crazy one, her the criminal. This accusation machine of a man skillfully denies and projects his own extensive deceptions, brings everyone down to his level by painting us all as liars, equates her unknowing self-deceit with his carefully crafted deceptions, undermines the very institutions which alone can reveal and block his totalitarian rule, incites mob rule with his chorus of eager comrades and toadies, and commandeers, debases, and wins any effort at fair debate. Astonishingly, this requires only a 3% distortion of the facts. In the face of his tactics, only the power of a full and formal daily tribunal could help her to win any of their arguments. This is, of course, vastly impossible, hence the brilliance of his strategy. This hyper-aggressive, distract and obfuscate ignoramus genius fools most of us non-forensic psychotherapists too, because we're trained to be fair and compassionate, to listen to both sides, and to never favor or demonize anyone. We can't imagine that pure predators like him actually exist. In our offices, and in the absence of witnesses who could correct their distortions, They carefully omit or rationalize all those nasty little details of their extensive crimes and betrayals. His relentless attacks are designed to back her down, strip her of any realistic support from others, make her doubt her sanity, crush her soul, and imprison her forever within his domain. Her inner attacker chimes in with its own similar set of cruel misgivings and self-castigations. Besieged by these outer and inner sadists, the wife's conscious ego is left in its pre-existing neurotic state, defeated, confused, anxious, overwhelmed, dependent, and guilt-ridden. She caves in, of course, to keep both her husband and her inner attacker quiet at any cost. This sadomasochistic dance often lasts for a lifetime. During the course of therapy, the wife comes to see that her own ideals blind her to her and others' dark sides, make her such an eager participant, and cause her to make such a fool of herself. Her husband merely exploits these notions, which include her and our illusions of perfect, simple, and cost-free solutions, one-sided non-harmfulness, rescue-ish control of others, unconditional love, final escape from the human predicament, and the notion that others are basically honest and genuine. Before she can begin to open her eyes, she, like us, must realize that she's been so hoodwinked by her own illusions that she's basically mistaken about almost everything that really matters in life. During months of therapy, she gradually peeks around her blinders. She can see now that life remains a messy amalgam of costly and complex compromises, that pure non-harmfulness is way beyond our pay grade, that we can control, rescue, and awaken ourselves only, that love among adults is conditional, that painful parts of the human predicament do not go away, that making grievous mistakes is how we learn, and that too many humans possess no measurable trace of humanity. This unexpected, unwanted, and even resented avalanche of painful disappointments is precisely how therapeutic disillusionment or Buddhist detachment or going into the fire can lead to profound, cumulative, and transformative moments of awakening. The wife realizes that her suffering has little to do with the painful realities imposed by this particular scam artist. These injuries synchronize with the cosmic con game to hasten her awakening by tricking her to inquire with new eyes. Her husband is thus her unknowing pedagogue who cannot awaken from the intoxicating spell of his own magic trick. Long ago he sold his soul. He traded love for the Faustian illusion of endless power. A deal is a deal. She can finally grasp that despite her husband's staged and convincing words, crocodile tears, and hissy fits, there's actually nothing genuine or personally related about him at all. It's all an intricate ruse. In the end, the husband is a cold-blooded reptile who can't generate the extensive warmth, humility, gentleness, restraint, and collaboration needed for mature, authentic, enduring, and kindly intimacy among mammals. Without her, he'll slither up to the next random and willing warm body in the tent, or the next. The key here is that if she sticks with her tolerant and fair-minded game plan, she's playing right into his strong suit. He will trump this every time. He never compromises or confesses. He understands only smash-mouth tactics. It's time for her to get over her saviorish Beauty and the Beast illusion. Now that she can see her husband and herself clearly, she can use her newly retrieved aggressiveness to stand up to him. She must tie herself to the proverbial mast, break her own heart, and deafen herself to his seductive music. She must steel herself to be a basically unreasonable, intolerant, and hard-headed woman if she's to have any hope of dealing with him effectively. After all, she invited this cobra into her tent. Now she's got to be a grown-up and deal with him. She must get down and dirty, No more high road for her or us. Her supportive but seemingly depriving therapist also helps her to see that it actually does not matter, and yet it matters terribly, whether she stays in her unfulfilling marriage or not. There are always many practical and even admirable reasons to stay, especially for the children. Most stay for life. After all, wisdom is vastly inconvenient, costly, compromising, unpopular, and risky. It perseveres against seemingly unendurable adversity and pain. It can risk causing discomfort to others. She could, and possibly should, try for a more profound, mature, mammalian, and personally related lover with whom to play this newfound game of paradox. It's her choice. Either way, the real prize is her own lovingness. Unfortunately, her child parts and ours don't just disappear or grow up after she awakens. That's just another illusion that even Freud fell for at first. No one makes it to pure and single-minded wisdom. Within our innate, messy, and argumentative inner Congress, the child parts still clamor for their cobra's seductive and candy-coated illusions. Her higher self can accept and even love these little imps while she gently reminds them that she is now driving the bus, at least most of the time. Either way, her most important project, the one that most of us decline, remains the same: to embody that crystal of universal higher consciousness within. To do this, we must embrace those abhorrent worst parts of humanity which also lie within. It's not an either-or, it's a package deal. Without the help of our inner demon, we can't make our way to our inner angel. The higher self has been there all along, not calling attention to itself. Unlike the loud and demanding child parts, it waits in silence for her conscious self to get interested. Incredibly, it usually remains in obscurity throughout an entire lifetime. This is Olympic quality Buddhist restraint and detachment. Whether she stays or goes, the father of her children will make her pay. There will be immense collateral injuries and worse. She must be willing and even eager to pay this grievous price for reversing her course, forsaking childish dreams, retrieving and embracing her other half, and tapping into her exquisite higher self. Moreover, and like us, she must forgive herself for having been so completely duped by life and by herself. This is so essentially human, so inevitable. She must even become grateful for the grievous errors which led her into this predicament. These mistakes are what gave her the opportunity to discover and enjoy this enriched and expanded reality. She must even come to celebrate her past mistakes as well as future ones. No delusion, no awakening, as Zen masters say. She could not have arrived any other way. Long after we awaken, illuminating mistakes, losses, delays, and disillusionments will keep coming at us at the speed of life. The best we can manage is foolish and fallible wisdom. Only through this prolonged and agonizing odyssey can we truly mature and begin to embrace the beautiful and terrible fullness of life itself. This is what makes us whole, so much more than the sum of our parts, so much more alive than we could have imagined. This type of fulfilling, poetic, hard-won, and exasperating wisdom will never be looked upon as popular, evidence-based, nor lucrative in this bountiful and desolate marketplace that sells only illusion. And we'll stop there.